Jodi.
Hi, they all know me. Wait, the bullseye's in the back of my shirt. Don't you worry.
Okay. All right, Kory. We're going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to Ripple on the Water in beautiful downtown Essex, where we are celebrating Essex in Bloom, Heather, in a very special Cape Ann today.
I think everything's in bloom here today.
I've already breathed in deep.
Beautiful.
It's Essex everywhere.
Yeah, well, the pollen, that's one thing. But
yeah.
The blooming is beautiful here.
Yeah, so there's a town-wide celebration going on beginning right now to sort of spark business and visitors coming into the area this year, but also to celebrate the reopening, wink wink, of the Causeway Bridge, which is a big deal around here, right, for all of us. So anyway, joining us first is Jodi Harris. She is the chair of the Economic Development Committee and a big part of Essex in Bloom. How are you, Jodi?
I'm great, thanks.
Thanks for joining
having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Yeah, so I guess right off the top, what is Essex in Bloom?
So Essex in Bloom is the result of a grant through the Community One Stop for Growth, and it is to bring off-season business to Essex. So we're not the only ones who got the grant. We applied for it in partnership with Manchester by the Sea. Mm-hmm. We ended up getting our own grant. We each got the full grant. And in Essex, the businesses really wanted to push off the date of the event because in February and March, a lot of businesses, either aren't open or they don't have staffing.
Right.
So they had some options and they chose May.
And it just sort of coincided with the reopening of the bridge and what's going on there?
A year ahead of schedule, the bridge is opening. They head to June 2024, so yes, absolutely. So we took advantage of reopening Essex.
Yeah.
Essex in Bloom and the bridge opening, so all in one weekend.
All in one weekend.
Yeah. So tell us what's going on in Essex in Bloom. What does it mean for guests?
So there are a lot of activities going on. Today we have our sidewalk chalk artists who've come into town. We have had to move them all to the bridge seawall. They were going to be scattered about, but a couple of things happened, and mostly rain related. Mm-hmm. So they've been put all together. That will be, I think, something fun for people to walk around and see. And we have started the week. We started the week with a community read. Patricia Hanlon's book was the community read.
I read it.
And they had an author talk last night at the library. There'll be a story walk at the Memorial Park that's put up by the library. There'll be a greeting center at 24 Martin Street that'll have a life-size Essex selfie station. So the letters ESSEX are cut out, and they are filled with bloom that was made by our volunteer Tina Lane, and you'll be able to be the X, and there'll be games at that station, and then that will start bringing you into the business district. So let's see, there are so many events. So at Ripple, they're having a special dinner and tequila tasting.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
That's 2 o'clock Saturday,
2 o'clock Saturday, that's right.
Is tequila unique? It's something special to Essex?
Well, you'll be in Essex drinking tequila. That's half the battle, right?
It is to me. Sea Meadow's having a paint night tonight at 6:30. Anna Hardy is building, with her group of volunteers, she's building flower flashes.
Yeah, very cool.
So right across the street from us right now, there's a mini excavator that's being turned into basically a waterfall of flowers. And there's a team over there, and they're working hard. But there'll be another one on the other side of the bridge. There'll be
in the old Chevy truck, right?
The old Chevy truck.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
There'll be one down by N. Larson Jewelry. There's going to be another one by Guggen's Galley. There may be a surprise one somewhere else. We're not sure yet. We're going to see how the day goes.
Yeah, very cool.
Bridge opening tomorrow morning at 10 kicks off the celebration. Then we have music on the causeway at Perkins Marina. They've graciously let us put our musicians on the front porch of their new building, so it's right on the river, and they've given us the front parking spaces so we can have some seating out there for people.
So, Joe, I just want to ask, like, the reopening of the bridge in this time of year, how important is this thoroughfare to the town of Essex?
Oh, it's the mainstream.
It's the economic development.
It is. You want to say it is the business district. It is the only business district that we have. Our downtown mixed-use district is right here, and it's one of the very small pieces of zoning we do have in Essex. So it's very important. But we reached out to all businesses because we wanted everybody to be able to participate. So if they wanted to bring something downtown or put something out on our map online in our springintoessex.org, they could submit something that was special happening at their shop, like Anna Hardy Interiors. She's on the sort of the outskirts of town, and she's having a Ukrainian flower crown workshop. She's having flower earring workshop. I think she's doing a butterfly release. So all businesses had the opportunity. This is the first time. This is the first one. I think it'll grow from here because there are some businesses that are really excited about the opportunity to have another annual event in town. And the intent of the grant is to give a playbook to the businesses so that they can stand this up year after year.
Yeah, very nice.
So how are the funds actually used from that grant?
So it was a $51,000 grant, and the first $25,000 is assigned to a consultant. So we were assigned a consultant through the process, and they coordinated basically set it up in the beginning, set up working groups, set up marketing groups, and guided us through the process. And then the balance are things for durable goods or anything else that you're going to use. So all of the flowers, some of the, I don't know if you noticed, but all of our pocket parks have been refurbished. So that happened a little bit outside of the grant, but the flower show, the additional plantings would come from that grant.
It just goes to show how much goes into an event like this.
It was
much planning.
Bigger than I thought. I'm not an event planner.
Yeah.
Donna Roy, who's done a ton of volunteer work, she is an event planner. She's taught me all about event planning, the do's and don'ts.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, Essex is pretty widespread out. It's not like you're walking from one end of commerce from like Eastern Ave and then up through Main Street. Like, it's a ways away. And I also think that the perception outside the year for those who just visit Essex, maybe it's annually or they're doing a day trip or something, it's always fried clams and the antique shops. And there's so much more going on here. There's people who are always enjoying the river out here as well, like we are. That's why we love coming back to this spot. But there's all sorts of different sorts of shops and galleries and great eateries now as well.
That's right. We have a seek and find, a scavenger hunt that's available on both Saturday and Sunday. And there are clues. Georgia Ann Richards from Sea Meadow actually put it together. And so there are clues, and it brings you all around town to different places that you may not visit. So I can't say any more because I give away the clues.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it sounds like a great family event.
It's definitely a great family event.
Like strolling, seeing, a little bit of doing, some activities.
Yeah, activities. We're trying to move people around town. That was the hardest part, is just trying to get people to move around town.
Yeah.
But I think
without driving, that kind of thing.
Well, some of it you're going to have to drive for.
Yeah.
But Cox Reservation has birds, bees, and butterflies. It was supposed to be tomorrow at 10. They've moved it to Sunday at 10 because of the weather. Cogswell Grant is having plein air painting demonstrations and I think an art lesson down there. So we're trying to move them as much as possible.
Yeah.
So in the next couple of minutes, as chair of the Economic Development Committee, it's even hard to say, could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing there?
Sure. So I've been chair for a little over a year, so I'm still new. I'm still new to the game. What I realized right away was that we needed to study the town and see what we could bring to town as far as business. And our first issue is zoning. So, of course, we support the zoning project fully. And then we needed to study, we need to look at the data. We need to look at capacity in our town departments. We needed to see if we have good accountability. We need to see if we have enforcement. So one of the things that we are doing is we're writing a guide to doing business in Essex, because a lot of people come to town and stumble around. At town hall, we don't have full-time people. We don't have a full-time building inspector. So all of those things are a little challenging to navigate. So we're working to put together a comprehensive guide that you'll go in and access online and help you to navigate the process in town. So that's one of the things that we're doing. This event was part of it. The other piece was our placemaking piece, which is the pocket parks, 24 Martin Street, to make the downtown more welcoming. The pocket parks were put up when they redid the sidewalks in 133, 15 or so years ago. They were a great idea, but didn't have a great plan to care for them. So one of the things that we decided this year or 2 years ago, was to look at our meals tax and start to tag some of our improvement project to using our meals tax. And the placemaking project is a perfect example. So all of the pocket parks were pulled out last week. Everything was cleaned and prepped, and the town meeting funded two different articles to fund the full plantings and then maintaining those spaces, and that'll continue over time. So maintenance is important. It's the most important part. The proper plantings are important, and our Robin Cantor, who's local in town and a volunteer on several boards, she volunteered her time to do the actual plans of the pocket parks. So they're fully refreshed, and I think that helps to bring people who come to town, not just for clams at Woodman's or any restaurant, pop into Ripple and have dinner, but it kind of draws them to walk down the causeway because there's something beautiful to look at.
Yeah, and we do want to point out, too, the weather doesn't look great tomorrow, but it doesn't really matter. You can still drive from place to place. There's plenty of parking around the area. And the event also goes on Sunday, but also this is really just to lift off the season.
That's right.
Here in Essex as well, right?
That's right. Well, this weekend was kind of the perfect weekend because you had Mother's Day before it, Memorial Day after that, Art in the Barn. We're trying to, create sort of a roll so that you get into July. And, July and August are always high season here. So really May is still an off season. Mm-hmm. It's a shoulder season for Essex, as is September and October. So it's important to have different drivers to bring people to come to Essex.
So, Jodi, is the idea for Essex in Bloom to be an annual kickoff event, so to speak?
We're hoping the businesses will take it over from here. Yeah. And I have a small core group of people who have put in a ton of time, and they're excited about what it could look like next year. We were, there are talks of, maybe it's make your own paper boat, and it's a parade, with children. There's great opportunity there. Yeah. We did our best this year in a short amount of time because I'm not an event planner, and I didn't know how long it was going to take to do all these things, and we're running around like crazy, the last week to make sure everything's ready. But I think that they will continue it. I think it's going to be a great event. I'm not worried about the weather because Chris on Cape Ann Weather says that there's only going to be a potential scattered shower, and you're good until 5 o'clock for outdoor activities.
Yeah, I think so too. That's our buddy Chris Spittle. Yeah.
I count on Chris. So.
Yeah, he's good.
He's very good. That's the only weather I count on.
Yeah.
Awesome, Jodi. So if people want to learn more about Essex in Bloom, how can they go about doing that?
Springitoessex.org, and it gives you all of the events on there. Follow us on Instagram, same handle, and
there you have it.
We'll share it. It's shared on other Facebook and whatnot, but it's all out there for you.
Yeah. Well, you've worked hard. Enjoy the weekend. Congratulations, and thanks for your service.
Well, there are a lot of volunteers. It was just me. I'm just an air traffic controller. There are a lot of people doing a lot of work, so we appreciate you guys coming out and kind of popping our season with Essex in Bloom.
Yeah.
So.
We really appreciate your time.
And we wish you luck. We hope the causeway there is just throbbing with people.
Me too.
A word? Yeah.
Yes.
Buzzing.
Yeah, buzzing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, birds, bees, and butterflies.
Right, exactly.
Thanks so much, Jodi, for
Thanks
being
so
with
much.
us. All right, that is Jodi Harris. She is the chair of the Economic Development Committee in Essex, and a big part of Essex in Bloom, which is actually kicking off right now, Heather. I think we just helped do that. There's events going on. It's a town-wide celebration, so there's a lot going on here. We're coming at you from Ripple on the Water, and we're just talking to a few of the key components and folks involved in the event, including Rachel Horgan, who is with the Essex County Greenbelt and the Cox Reservation, who has big ideas for this weekend as well. How are you, Rachel?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and we've got a fun event coming up. Jodi mentioned the weather, so we're changing our event from Saturday to Sunday. We've got our Pollinator Day. It's going to be a family-friendly event at Cox Reservation right here in Essex. It's a great way to get the kids out, see hopefully some nice sunshine, and learn a little bit about bees and other pollinators.
Yeah. So what are the facets of that event specifically?
Yeah, so the main reason why we changed the date, even though we're hoping, tomorrow's events go well, not a ton of rain, is we are going to be doing a hive opening. So Cox Reservation, we've got our own couple of beehives there, and so we are going to be opening them and showing folks the inside of the hive. And how we do this to make sure it's friendly for everybody and we're not interacting too closely with the bees is we have the folks that are interested in this activity inside of a tent that's got netting on it. So they're nice and safe from any stray flying bees. It'll be myself and a couple other beekeepers, and we'll pull the frames out of the hive, get up nice and close to the tent so you can see everything moving around, which is so neat. If you've never seen the inside of a hive, it's a really cool way to see how all the bees are functioning, and we'll try to find the queen, although it can be a little bit of a needle in a haystack situation. But that's the main event. That's going to start at 10:30 tomorrow. Sunday.
I heard you talking off camera. So what is the difference where, say if it were showery tomorrow, how does that affect the hive?
Well, they would not be happy.
Oh, yeah?
Similar to if someone was trying to take the roof off your house in a rainstorm, you might be a little angry. So not the best time to open it up for the hive. We don't want to get the moisture in there. We definitely don't want angry bees. So preferably we want to open up hives when it's nice and sunny outside, so they're really not that upset by it. A lot of their bees are out looking for nectar and pollen, and so we get to see all the house bees at work doing the house cleaning projects.
It's so exciting. So we were talking a little bit before the show about beekeeping, and can you just run through very quickly what it entails? Because it's a lot of work. We think the bees are doing a lot of work, and they are, but it takes a lot to keep hives going, right?
It does, yeah. It's a learning process. Every year is different. I've been keeping bees myself for about 7 years, and I have to experience something new every year, which is the fun part about it. But you do need all the equipment, obviously the bees, which you can buy from a lot of different local shops that sell bees. And the season in New England runs from April until about Labor Day is your active season, and then you're doing a few maintenance things over the winter time. So it's a lot of learning and a lot of acceptance that the bees are working really hard, but you're also trying to give them the best environment to hopefully make some honey for you.
And are we concerned that there aren't enough flowers right now, for instance? Is that a concern?
It can change up and down each season. As we know in New England, the weather can be really unpredictable. Spring can be unpredictable. We're in a pretty good spot right now with a lot of things blooming. Obviously great with the Essex in bloom this weekend. So a lot of flowers are out, but usually sometimes in the start of season it can be a little bit cold in spring or rainy, so sometimes we kind of feed the bees a little bit of sugar water to give them a little kickstart until most of the flowers in bloom. But right now, if you look around, things are just gorgeous. So bees are happy. Even when it's raining, they're still hard at work inside the hive.
So Rachel, where did your interest in beekeeping what spurred that?
I like honey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to a honey tasting several years ago, which is very similar to a wine tasting in that no two honeys taste alike. And so depending on where the bees are harvesting from, which parts of the country or the world, totally different flavor profiles. And so that was delicious, and I thought, well, maybe I'll try this myself. And here we are 7 years later. My bees tend to produce a nice floral, light tasting honey, but if you go to different parts of the country, if they're going to different flowers, you can get darker, thicker honeys. So definitely, go to your local shops and you'll see an array of honeys, and it's a fun way to experience what the bees are doing.
Interesting.
So what is what are the challenges for the bees right now environmentally? Because there are some challenges, right? Not just finding flowers, but diseases, right?
Diseases are a challenge. They also suffer from mites, which are basically a tick that can affect just your bee colonies. So, being a good beekeeper is helping your hives with, different medications and treatments that help prevent that, because the bees do travel around, and if you have a hive that's having some issues, they could also affect other people's bees when they are out in the wild interacting. So that is a tough. Climate change is definitely not helping at all with the fluctuations of temperatures that can make, drought that we saw last year. That was not helpful for the bees. So there's a lot of things that, as a beekeeper, you need to stay on top of and be, always learning and trying to do the best thing that you can for those bees.
And how do you know if they're happy?
Usually they're, I like to call them the golden retriever of bees, because they are bred to be, workable. And so usually a happy hive is a calm hive that, as you're inside the hive working them, they're not too upset. Obviously they would be upset if the weather was not good and you were trying to tend to them. But yeah, they're nice. You get used to it. Some people have a reaction to the sound of the buzzing. That's kind of a conditioned response. But as you get used to it, you just realize that's the sound they make. And for the most part, they don't really register that if you're doing your job right, they don't really register that you're tending to them.
Yeah. I mean, most people understand the importance of bees and beekeeping. What do you love about it? Why does it mean so much to you?
Oh, I love the diversity of it. No two seasons are alike. No two hives are alike. They all have a slightly different temperament to it. So I'm always learning something about it. The honey is obviously a nice benefit, but it's just a lovely hobby that you're always being challenged. So it doesn't get stale. You're always learning. You can talk to beekeepers that have been doing this for decades, and they'll tell you there's 20 different ways to solve one problem in your hive, and people go down all sorts of wormholes. So it's just a fun way to do something different and get outside of your normal comfort zone.
So I want to ask a quick question just about the Greenbelt generally, right? So for folks who maybe haven't enjoyed it, they drive by, they see the signage everywhere, whether it's off Thompson Road at Exit 13, or up Marble Road, or Cox Reservation. What is the Greenbelt, and how can people enjoy that?
Yeah, so Greenbelt, we're a land trust. So we're a nonprofit that conserves open space, and our purview is Essex County. So you will see us all around the county. What's really special about Greenbelt is all of our properties are free and open to the public, dawn to dusk. So wherever you see that Greenbelt sign, there's a parking area. Go on in, explore. We have a Trails app that you can get out. That's free to download. A great way to explore if you haven't been to a place before. A lot of our properties have kiosks, so it's really user-friendly, and we really invite everyone to come out there. But what we're doing day to day in our offices are working to conserve additional open spaces in Essex. So it could be a place that turns into a reservation for hiking, could be farmland that keeps affordable farming as a possibility in Essex, which that's a bit of an issue. And also wildlife habitat, ecosystem. We're on this beautiful marsh right now, and that helps mitigate the effects of climate change, having protected spaces around that. So it's a lot of important work, and I think people are seeing the benefits of doing that local land conservation right in their area.
And they love looking at the osprey nest too.
Yeah, osprey, that's a big one. If you're on our website, we've got a live osprey cam right now. It's over at Lobsterland in Gloucester. And there's a nesting pair on it. They have 3 chicks. I don't know if they've hatched yet, but there's 3 eggs, which is super exciting. So definitely check that out. It's one of our main highlights on our website.
Yeah, I love the Cox Reservation over there. It's very cool.
Yeah.
We'd love to get over there. We have to do a show there sometime, Rachel.
It's beautiful. We've got a couple osprey platforms right now. We've got our bees. It's a really friendly and easy walkable place. So if you just want to go for a 20, 30-minute walk, that's the place to go. A lot of people bring their dogs. We're doing leashes right now because it's nesting bird season on our grassland, so we're trying to balance, the property usage with that. But it's beautiful. It looks out over the Essex River, viewing platform, and you can actually go in the river down. It might be a little chilly right now, but a little bit later this summer, it's a nice place to go swim from.
Yeah,
that's good to know. So tell us about the events you have coming up.
Yeah, so the Pollinator Day is going to be great. That's this Sunday, so date change 10 to about 1 p.m. Honey tasting, candle making, hive opening. We're going to make pollinator seed balls, so lots of different fun stuff for that. And then our big flagship event is coming up also at Cox Reservation. It's going to be June 9th and 10th, our Art in the Barn.
Yeah,
so that's a fun event. Just most of the day on Friday, all day Saturday. Artists come from all over. It's a juried show. And then we have sculptures and everything. So if you haven't been to Cox Reservation, that's kind of the time to see it with a lot of other activity as well.
Yeah. And we also talked about another cool event you're talking about for people who enjoy hiking or trail walking.
Yes.
I didn't realize how many properties actually are part that constitute the Greenbelt.
A lot. We have over 50 properties that are free and open to the public. A lot of our other conserved properties have conservation restrictions on them, which means they're not like a walkable place, but a lot of our places are. And so, sneak preview. We're going to be posting about this on our website, our email. We're going to be doing a Trails Challenge, and we're kicking that off on June 3rd, which is National Trails Day. So that's going to be a really fun way for people to challenge themselves and see how many Greenbelt properties that you can get to from 2023 to our annual meeting in 2024. And we'll do top awards for people that hopefully get to all 50. So if you're not already on our newsletter, if you go to our website, ecga.org, right at the top is a newsletter sign up. So definitely add your email to that and you'll be in the know about when that starts and how you can participate.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks so much for spending time with us today, Rachel. So we just mentioned the website, right?
Yes.
But now, so the normal hours of operation for any of the trails, dawn to dusk.
Dawn to dusk. So you're getting more for your money right now because dawn is getting earlier.
Really early.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really early. Yeah. But even throughout the winter, we plow our parking lots and everything. So we want people to year-round go visit these places. Everything is unique. So use the Trail Challenge to go visit some new places, but just on your own, go explore. If you've got a couple favorites, go to them over and over again. It's a lovely way to be outside.
Yeah, and for Sunday's Pollinator event, if people want to learn specifically about that, how can they do that?
Also on our website, so ecga.org/events, but you'll see it kind of on the home screen. So right here, 82 Eastern Ave in Essex at Cox Reservation. You can't miss it. So 10 until 1 on Sunday.
Beautiful. Okay, and we're making a note. We've got to get out to do a show at the Cox Reservation. So it's absolutely gorgeous out there.
Probably after Art in the Barn, though.
Yeah. Rachel Horgan, thanks so much for spending time with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah. So I have friends that beekeep as well, and they are really, you can't do it passively.
No,
or recreationally. It's all in, and like saying, all the climate changes presents its own set of challenges, and year to year it's completely different. So it's always like hats off to the beekeepers.
I just don't want to have a hive and then lose my bees. I mean, that happens a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
It just seems so sad.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think we're speaking with Katie Montgomery next of the Essex Shipbuilding Museum. But just to give you guys, to top it off here, we are coming at you from Ripple in the Water. It is Essex in Bloom. It's a town-wide celebration lasting all weekend long, beginning today. You can enjoy shopping and dining and all recreational activities and certain events going on throughout the weekend. It's also the wink wink reopening of the Causeway Bridge. There'll be a ribbon cutting ceremony Saturday morning at 10 a.m. if you want to come down for that. That's a big deal around here.
It sure is.
There's usually issues with the causeway if it's either underwater or inoperable. And this weekend, no, we hope.
You know what? My in-laws live right over there.
Oh, really?
And they won't come to Essex because of the bridge.
Oh, for crying out loud.
They wouldn't even go around the little, the secondary bridge that was built. So
well, now they're coming. Actually, it's funny you say that. They're literally taking down the last parts of the temporary bridge as we speak.
I saw that.
That's the end of that. So there you go. So, okay, Katie Montgomery is the executive director of the Essex Historical Society and Shipbuilding Museum. How are you, Katie?
Good. How you doing, Kory?
It's great to have you back with us again.
Yeah, great to be back.
Yeah, you're a regular on the show, I feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, who could get enough of Essex history,
Yeah.
Well, also, we're right here and you're right there.
Yeah.
We're basically looking in the windows of your office.
There's another Essex show one of these days is from inside the Shipbuilding Museum.
Yeah, you've got to come see what we've done to the place.
Yeah, so what have you done to the place?
So inside our orientation center, our gift shop has had a complete revamp. It is really eclectic. Gifts for people that, are the makers and shakers in your lives.
Yeah.
And our exhibits have been completely refreshed in there too. So it's really beautiful what we've done.
Yeah.
So you're sort of about to start your summer season, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we're open this weekend for Essex in Bloom, featuring an installation from the Manchester Essex Regional School District 7th grade science class.
Nice.
Essex Blooms. So it's their anatomically correct flowers. That's really, really beautiful. All 3D, right in the front, and a little sneak peek of the exhibits. The last weekend to enjoy free admission before we open up officially for the season on June 1st.
So do you want to talk about are there any big plans for the summer that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so June 1st, for opening day, we are launching a brand new brand identity. We'll have a new logo. And with that, at the same time, we're launching a student-built boat on June 1st at 10 a.m. at the high tide. So we've had a group from the Topsfield Vocational Academy. They've been coming in, they come twice a week. We've had these same students, 3 of them, for 3 years now, and they're graduating seniors, and they really fancy themselves shipbuilders. They're amazing. They're very capable. So this year, they started this project in September, and it is now just about ready to launch. They are putting the paint on it, and they're really excited to send it into the river and test it against the last boat that they built. So
they've already built one?
They already built one because we've had these kids for 3 years,
Yeah.
so they took 2 years to build the last one, and then they got so good that they did the next one in half the time.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. So who guided them in the shipbuilding, and how did that process work?
Yeah, so we have our shipbuilder and educator, Jeff Lane. Jeff has been a long time fixture in the boatyard. I have a book about the building of the schooner Lannon, and he's the kid in the book.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
That's great.
And he's just amazing. And so it's Jeff and then Mark Webster, who comes along with the kids from the Topsfield Vocational Academy. So he's the woodshop teacher there. And the school's for kids who are in need of social, emotional, and behavioral intervention. So they're not traditional classroom learners. We're really, really fortunate to have the opportunity to bring them into this like real world environment and show them how to use real skills that they go on and develop into careers.
Yeah, that's a great point, Katie. So I guess for those locally who haven't been to the museum, right, or for those outside the area learning about this for the first time, what is an experience like there? What makes it different from other museums?
Yeah, so the biggest difference is that it's a museum situated on a historic working shipyard. So not only is it history, like when you're looking at museums, usually they have like a period of interpretation, right? They're like, we look at history from 1609 to 1642, and this is when something cool happened in this place. But here we're starting in the 1600s and we're going off into the future. This is history that's in the making all the time.
Oh.
So you can see projects that are happening concurrently right next to examples of things that are from the 1600s. So you can have the artifacts in use. And it's really unique in that way.
Yeah, wow. It's amazing.
And we have some of those artifacts, well, not artifacts, but the benefits of your museum in Gloucester Harbor. Sailing
yes.
around, right? Do you want to talk about the ships that are there that have been built here?
Yeah. So Essex has been a giant exporter of wooden 2-masted fishing schooners. Probably has built more of those ships than anywhere else in the world. And more recently, we have one prolific builder, Harold Burnham, who has his commercial operating yard directly adjacent to the museum shipyard.
Yeah.
And sometimes he does his projects on the museum property, and sometimes he does them in the commercial yard, depending on the scale and the use of things. But Harold has built, what are we up to, 6 boats in recent history, starting with Thomas E. Lannon in 1997. You guys will see in the harbor. Mm-hmm. Then he built our flagship, the Lewis H. Story, which is based off of the early 1600s tobacco boat design. His best interpretation of it, because no photographs exist.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, there's no photographs, there's no plans, it's so old. So he actually used like references from historical texts and paintings.
Fitzhenry Lane.
Yes, pre-Fitzhenry Lane. There's some, you can see a few tobacco boats in some Fitzhenry Lane paintings because the design endured for a while, but there aren't any written plans. Then after After that was the schooner Fame, I believe, was 2003.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then schooner Isabella was up 2006. And then 2011, the schooner Ardell.
Amazing.
And then on deck is the Sylvina W. Beale, which is actually a rehabilitation rebuild. She was built in 1911 in Beals Island, Maine. So that'll be about an 80-foot sardine carrier design.
No kidding.
Beautiful. And we've been working concurrently with Harold. We have on our YouTube channel a series of talks that Harold and I did together while he was teaching me how to do ship design.
Yeah, amazing. And I guess just to step back into history for a bit.
Yeah.
The ships were built right here and then launched literally right here?
Yep.
Is that
right into the river? So a cool thing about Essex is that we have a municipal shipyard. So bordering the museum right behind us, where you can see all that phragmites, is town land. And there's an acre of town land set aside in 1668 for the people of Essex to build ships. None of the shipyards that occupied this space owned any waterfront. They had to build with the tail end, the stern ends of the ships were all sticking out over the town land. And then they side launched them into the river. So they basically cut loose whatever was holding them up and they slide right in. And that's still the way that Harold prefers to launch them, which is a lot of fun to see.
Man.
It's got to be amazing to see. We should be here
pretty
for one
wild.
of those.
Oh, yeah.
For the Beale.
Yes, definitely for the Beale.
Yeah. When is that anticipated to launch?
We're still in the material acquisition phase right now, which is a lot because all of the lumber is locally sourced.
Wow.
So it comes from land clearing jobs and tree work. So we get these log lengths and then mill it down ourselves. That takes time. All of that accumulation and being a lot of it residential lumber that was taken down over people's houses for safety and the like, you end up running into things like your old tree house, clotheslines, and things like that. So it does slow down the process. We have quite a stash of wood right now that we're working through to make sure we have all the material we need before we start.
Nice.
So are you always looking for people to volunteer wood?
Are we looking?
Or you go look for it yourself?
So I married an arborist.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
And so all of the better takedowns, we have trained him. So he looks for the specific sweeps in the wood. So he's like, oh, that looks like a futtock right there. That's going to be put together into a frame. Or, oh, that's going to be really great stock for bending. And he just, we really got him going.
All in the family.
Yes, it's all in the family.
That's great.
So, Katie, just to talk about Essex and Bloom.
Yeah.
Why do you think this is so important for the area, and especially with the bridge now open again to through traffic?
Well, it has been quite a journey watching the bridge, watching this all happen.
Through your office window.
Yes, through my office window. And it's really great to see Essex opening up to traffic again and to people coming through and maybe stopping and not just trying to get over that crazy obstacle that is the bridge. When you come up to road work, you want to get through it as quickly as possible, and being situated right next to it was really we got a lot less happenstance stop through traffic than we would have, I think. And that paired with COVID really did hurt Essex economically. So I'm really hoping that Essex and Bloom welcomes people back in a way that makes them want to sit and stay for a while.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, we're loving the event too. So all weekend long, folks, the celebration is happening. Katie, that was great stuff. If people want to learn more about the Historical Society and Shipbuilding Museum, how can they go about doing that?
Well, you can find us online at essexshipbuilding.org and just stop by. We're here at 66 Main Street, and we're open and right by the bridge. Probably one of the only places you can just sit by the waterfront in town, so come hang out.
Yeah, it's true. It's a gorgeous spot. So thanks again for your time. We always love catching up with you. One of these days, I keep saying this with every guest, but one of these days, we're going to be doing a show from over there.
Yes.
I guarantee it.
In the shipyard.
Always welcome.
In the shipyard. It would be so great.
Yeah, you'll wear your tool belt. we'll get to work.
Yeah. We did talk to Harold Burnham and at Schoonerfest. That's when, he was a great interview. That was wonderful.
So are you helping in any way with Schoonerfest as well? Like, I know Fame is coming back for Schoonerfest this year for Gloucester's 400th, but you have such a tight relationship with all those vessels.
Yes, yeah. So we go to the Schooner Festival committee meetings every month or so, and we send over our ambassador boat, the Lewis H. Story.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely be making an appearance, and we usually hold a booth at Heritage Day as well, where we talk about our connection to Gloucester and the fishing fleet.
Awesome. Okay, Katie, thanks so much for your time again.
Yes.
EssexShipbuilding.org to learn more about the museum. Okay, thank you, Katie. Beautiful. Yeah, I always love chatting with Katie.
I do too. I think that whole shipbuilding museum is just one of the, it's an American gift.
It's amazing over there.
Some of the oldest history in this country, and it's still in operation.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like because we've been down at like Maritime Gloucester, we've seen the Lewis Story down there before, we've seen Harold Burnham working down there as well. When you see the boats in person, you can't believe the detail and time and love that these folks are putting in, like, are so dedicated to it. It's not easy.
No.
And it is very time consuming and tedious, and they adore the work, and it is unbelievable. So, my God, you have to check out the Shipbuilding Museum. Whenever you see anyone working out there, stop by, check things out. They want you to participate, which is amazing.
I love that those kids have built boats now.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask what their next chapter will be.
Yeah. Very nice. All right, well, so folks, we are in the middle of Essex in Bloom, right? That just sort of launched this morning and is running all weekend long, and you can enjoy all sorts of activities as the town celebrates the reopening of the bridge and really the launch of the spring and summer season as more visitors are coming through. So as a big part of that is what Anna Hardy is doing, our next guest. How are you, Anna?
Hello.
And Anna, you're part of In-Home Design Center?
It's now been renamed to my name.
Yeah.
It's Anna Hardy Interiors and Shop.
There we go. And you are part of these sort of floral bursts throughout the town this weekend.
Yep.
So can you explain what exactly is it? What are you doing?
A few people came up with the idea of decorating the shops being that it's spring, to do sort of floral arrangements. Somebody came up with the idea of flower flashes, and I ended up doing them. So
what is a flower flash?
So they are around, but a New York florist does them in New York. His name is Miller, and what he'll do is just bomb an area with flowers at night. Takes him about 10 minutes to jump out of his vehicle, throw all these flowers.
He just throws them.
It's like this random act of kindness.
They're more like they're in a rubbish bin or in a work site. But they look amazing, and they're really high-end flowers. So we're doing it based on that, but more Essex style.
Yeah. And what do you mean by Essex style?
Yeah. Well, this is more rural. It's not New York City. It's a little bit salty, the salt marsh, and so more cottagey.
What kinds of flowers?
Well, some of them are foraged. Quite a few.
Nice.
So branches and things are foraged. Everything's been purchased locally. All the we had to do plants rather than flowers because it's a 3-day event. So the plants have come from local nurseries. Picking out which ones will be in bloom this weekend.
So which ones? I mean,
it's a huge variety.
It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, right.
It's just taken me months of planning.
I am sure. Yeah.
And agonising over it because
It's
every
stressful.
week changes.
Yes.
Because when people tell me that things are not going to be in bloom, and then all of a sudden you have all this heat, so things do, and then
it's cold.
Then it's cold.
Yeah.
So we've got some permanent plants too. So those will be the mainstay in some of the vases.
Yeah. So where can folks enjoy these floral flashes?
So they're dotted around town. There's 2 at the bridge, so celebrating the bridge opening. So one will be in a truck, a 1960s Chevy green truck.
It's beautiful.
And the other one's going to be in an excavator, just to celebrate the construction, the end of construction.
Right.
And then there'll be another one on the corner of 133 and Martin, and that's more of an edible arrangement.
Oh.
And then there's another one going further up the causeway on the left, and that's all in pinks and purples.
Huh.
Oh, wonderful.
And then I also have done some at the shop.
Yeah, so tell us about your shop. And you have some activities there also,
Yes.
right, for the weekend?
So we have an exhibition going. The local artist has done some amazing floral pieces of paper cutouts. Her name is Elise Lincoln. And then we also have Kinsman Farms doing bouquets to go with the artwork.
Oh, beautiful.
We also have floral crown making and earrings out of flowers. And then also the shop's open. Everything's about flowers, about pots. And so I have an interior design shop. I am an interior designer. I also have a showroom and a shop with everything to do with the interior and some things to do with the exterior.
So it's not always about flowers. Just this weekend,
No.
It's all about flowers.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with flowers. Farms.
Yeah.
So, and I've noticed you have a thick Essex accent.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Suffolk.
what is your background and how do you end up here?
So I'm British. I was actually born in Ipswich, Suffolk, UK. I now live in Ipswich.
The other Ipswich we call it.
Yeah. And this one's actually better than the one in England.
It's good to hear.
So I've travelled quite a lot, extensively in my life, and ended up eventually here. And this is where I'm staying.
What do you love about Essex?
Oh, the small community. I've always enjoyed small communities. I really love the fact that there's a lot of women-owned businesses. Quite a
amazing
few
amount, yeah.
different
So
businesses.
interesting.
So I really enjoy that and that group spirit. I love eating here. The restaurants, love looking at the water.
Yeah.
So purchased the building in 2020.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. How'd that go?
And then basically shut down.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just renovated and worked through that. But I was very, very busy with design jobs. So.
But it is a good point, Anna, because we are celebrating the reopening of the bridge and people coming back now after whatever we went through for the last few years.
Yeah.
You know, we're here at Ripple on the Water. They opened right around the same time as things are shutting down. And just to be able to just endure and persevere through all that, I mean, it's a big tip of the cap to everybody, but not easy. So what does it mean to actually feel like, okay, maybe we're on the other side of this now, finally?
Yeah, I think so. I think we are.
Yeah.
And there's celebrating with flowers, and it's just a happy place to be, isn't it?
So happy.
You can't.
So, Anna, I've driven by your place a few times, and I've thought, oh,
It's a house.
Can I just pull in, and you have retail hours?
Yes, so when the
Okay.
flag's out,
Okay.
it
when
says
the flag's
open,
out.
we're
Okay.
open.
Okay,
But
great.
it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay, great.
The other days are by appointment, and because we are usually on job sites those days.
So you are working with clients and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
so-
you're in a refrigerator or a bathroom, you're in the wrong spot. That's the house part, right?
Yeah. The whole house is
the shop as
showroom
well?
as well.
But you don't live there.
We don't
because you
live there.
in
No,
Essex.
it's all the office space. It's fabric rooms. There's the main showroom in the back, which is the barn. It's 2 stories. Furniture, lighting,
Great.
antiques and new.
So I want to ask to Anne about your background in design. So when do you know growing up that this is sort of,
What I wanted to do.
yeah, or did you know young?
I knew I wanted to be a painter at 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's when I found my mother's oil paints and started painting the house. And stuff. So I've always been creative, wanting to paint something, wanting to make something, and really basically out of nothing. Because that's how we grew up. We didn't have much. So, and I've always preferred the inside of the homes instead of like clothing and that. So I actually studied textile design, but textile design for furnishings, not for clothing. And then I've renovated.
You learn a lot that way.
Yeah. Built my own house physically. Renovated homes, and we lived in a 500-year-old derelict home.
Oh, wow.
Grew up in one, so it was constant
Ongoing
renovation.
Education, right? Yeah, too.
Education. And through my mother had an antique shop, and we had lots of designers.
Did it mean
through.
something to be in a 500-year-old building like that? Did it mean as much to you to rehab the building as to add those touches as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Touching nothing, no square walls. So you're constantly
No level floors.
No level. And growing up, I really wanted a square corner. I wanted corners.
Yeah.
As soon as I got a house with corners, I'm like, I really want a house. So it's I love renovating. I really do prefer to do renovations, older homes, and but also wanting to have the modern conveniences.
Yeah.
So the first period homes over there in Ipswich are just modern for you, having come from a 500-year-old house.
Anything that's over 100 years, over 100, is considered sort of, well, in England we call them new homes.
Yeah, it's so funny.
100 years old.
So could you describe, I know you just said that you prefer renovating, but do you have a style? Are there words you could use to describe your style?
Yeah, I suppose that I prefer to have homes look like they've been collected. So pieces that have been picked up on travels, not necessarily all new pieces. So even something with a cane chair with a hole in it, as long as it fits the space, I think it's fine to have the hole in the chair.
I love that.
So lots of fabrics, textures, but collected. So more of the English style, probably.
And Anna, getting back to the floral flashes, what was your aim with each location and design?
So to try and have them sort of equally spaced, we could only do 4 because that's the budget was minimal. So it's basically coming up, because I had an excavator. I had no idea actually. I had to just wing it.
Yeah.
So cut lots of things and bring loads of things, colours, and so all more of the purples and the grasses for the excavator.
What did the excavator do? It's just
just
moving the
sitting
flowers
there.
around?
No, it's being decorated.
Oh, you've decorated the excavator. Oh, I
The
understand.
bucket, it's all, yeah. So that was very hard to do on paper because I didn't know what height the bucket would be.
Right.
So yes, a lot of it's been designed as we're doing it.
Yeah.
The truck was easiest because I know the truck's actually parked at the house. So
Those dimensions and
So, but again, I still wanted it to sort of have more of a casual feel.
Tumbling, sort of tumbling.
Yeah. And then we decided if that one was yellow, then we'd do a pink one, and it would be easier if I asked my other volunteers to help get the flowers. It's like everything pink, or everything yellow.
So can you say which flower worked the best? Was the easiest to work with, I should say.
I haven't done them yet.
We're
We're working on them today.
Keep me posted on that.
Well, the easiest thing are the faux things because
that's true.
You haven't got to water them. We do have to cut them.
Yeah.
But
I just for future reference, I'd like to know which worked the best right here in the middle of May.
Oh, but plant-wise, well, so it depends because if it wasn't hot for 2 weeks, it probably wouldn't have been in bloom now.
Yeah,
true.
So I've got the irises. I do have foxgloves.
Oh, pretty.
Iris. I just can't remember
Yeah,
what's been out there. There's so many plants.
Yeah.
But I would say over 35 to 40 plants.
Oh, wow.
Out there, different types.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing the final display.
Good.
Sounds like it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. So, Anna, if people want to find you or learn more about you and your business, how can they go about doing that?
They can reach us at ahardie@inhomedesignbuilds.com. I do have an Instagram page, Anna Hardy Interiors and Shop. And I'm also up the street at 117 Eastern Avenue in Essex.
Yeah, right next door to Trudeau and his pottery work, which is awesome too. For the former Cuttlefish, right? That building there.
No, we're further up than that.
Up from there?
Yeah, you've lost me.
117.
It was 117.
117.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
restaurant there.
Yeah, it's the Wynwood,
Yeah.
and then there's the mill.
Oh, yeah. Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. Thanks for your efforts as well.
Thank you.
They're not going unnoticed. I'm sure it's going to be gorgeous. We can't wait to get out there and enjoy the floral flashes.
Great.
So,
Thank
okay,
you.
thank you so much, Anna.
Bye.
That's Anna Hardy. Anna Harney, Home Design.
Yeah, I've been driving by that sign for a while now.
Yeah, I actually saw her out there all morning long while we were setting up, and they were moving the excavator around and repositioning it, and then she was sort of standing back a few feet and figuring things out, and then the flowers came in.
So you understood the excavator piece. I thought the excavator was moving the flowers to different places.
No, and actually in the old green 63 Chevy truck was out here to start off the morning. They moved that down to the other end of the bridge. That thing was good. I love old trucks like that.
I know, and they're fun to decorate.
That's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, Erika, you going to join us? So I couldn't do my my Zoom interview with Erika Brown of the Cricket this week to talk Manchester and Essex news, but here we are with her. Once again, we figured why not stop by.
I'm going to stay out of the sun if that's okay.
Yeah, good luck. So
my delicate skin.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you again.
Hi, Heather. I haven't seen you in a dog's age.
I know, it's been a long time.
I love your earrings.
Probably since we were here.
Maybe, last time we were here.
I was hoping it was the holidays. New Year's, but I don't think so.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, good to see you.
Nice
By
to
the way,
see you.
Anna Hardy, she's great. I was just helping with the flowers. So I'm like fresh from,
How are you?
Oh, yeah, you're helping out.
But Anna's next to Schooners.
Are you operating the excavator?
No.
I didn't think it should move. It shouldn't move if it has flowers. It's being decorated, right?
It's being decorated,
Don't
and
confuse
believe
me
me,
more.
my job was to be compliant, and I was. I was very good at my job. Anna just told me what to do. I was on top of a ladder with Peter and just sort of to the left, to the right.
So that's right, yeah. And Anna's across from like Schooners in the mill and Essex Birch Shop and Pet Supply and all that across that street.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So awesome.
Big house.
Yeah.
Up off the street.
It's kind of a spectacular showroom, too, she has in the back. It's like a metal building that's unassuming, but you go in and it's like, wow. Anyway.
So you've had a busy month or so. I mean,
Yes.
town meetings in Essex and elections, and then town meetings here and also in Manchester. So,
And it looks like we might have another round of it, actually.
For real?
Oh, yeah.
The school committee just met, right?
And they're going to have a big meeting, a public hearing on Tuesday. There's going to be a joint meeting between the school committee and the Board of Selectmen in Essex, and it's going to be at the high school, and that's going to be the real consequential one. They had their first meeting since Essex voted down the Proposition 2.5 override. There were two Proposition 2.5 overrides at the election a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And both of them were kind of produced because they were approved at town meeting in April, so they had to go to the ballot. One was for 50 some odd thousand, 54 maybe, let's call it, for an override for North Shore Technical High School for Essex, the old Essex Aggie.
Yeah.
That went through at the ballot because it has to be a 1-2 punch. A town meeting and then election. But the 284,000 or so, it's not the exact number, but it's around the number, that was required to bridge the gap for Essex's $9.3 million assessment for the school's the school district's FY24 budget did not pass. And it has caused sort of this domino effect of both procedures, sort of what happens now, and then also the domino effect in terms of the fallout of what it means.
Yeah.
So they're looking at a reduction total that includes the reductions that were presented voluntarily before the town meeting, plus now is 11.5 teachers. It includes the French French in the middle school and no French for any student. So if you're in middle school and you've been taking French, you will take Spanish next year. You will not have the opportunity to continue with French. They're also cutting a lot of STEM programs. It was
these are proposed at this point, right, Erika?
Absolutely. They're not proposed, they're recommended.
Recommended, okay, right.
They're recommended because, remember, the school committee is taking the position that they are answerable to the people, the voters. Mm-hmm. So they're giving the voters exactly what they asked for. Right. So it's a little more than a proposal, right? Yeah. It's a response. It's responding to what voters have told them they want. Right. And they've said, okay, you said this, here it is. And it feels so real. Even there was one school committee member, Anna Lynn Mitchell, I don't know if you remember her, she ran last year from Manchester, and she got voted in on the kind of this promise of her being a CFO of a nonprofit group, and that she was going to bring fiscal rigor to it. Even she, once presented with everything, you know what she defaulted to? She defaulted to what the school committee has done every year for the last 10 years. Oh, they fold and they say, we'll use reserves. Yeah. So she was basically saying, well, why don't we use reserves? Guess what? That's not
They would not do that this year, right?
And they were told not to do that this year. So Anna Lynn Mitchell is an example of somebody who is kind of newer to this process and has found herself defaulting and going to the very place that they've gone to, like a well-worn groove. They've gone to it every year for 10 years. So she was saying, well, is there a way we can compromise and maybe come up with half the cuts and maybe do the other with reserves, or bring it back to the Essex voters because maybe they'll come around.
I was going to ask that.
And guess what?
Can't, right?
Well, they can, and they will.
They're going to have another town meeting, right?
Well,
perhaps?
No, because here's the thing. That's not guaranteed, but I think it's probable. So I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But technically right now, if you want to stick to the rules, here's what's happening. You make those cuts that have been recommended. There's no town meeting. There's no second vote. You live with what you've done, and the town meeting at Essex in April already approved the budget for that lesser amount. You don't need to do anything. So if they go the hard route, there's no more town meetings, no special town meeting, and no more votes. However, if in this discussion they say maybe we shouldn't be cutting this, maybe this is the wrong thing.
Who's they? The school committee?
I think, parents, the school committee, but not so much the school committee. This is really in the hands of the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Working with the community. The school committee, to its credit, is saying, nope, we may hate this. And believe me, nearly all of them do, including the hardest ones. But they're they're taking their medicine and they're saying, we're going to do it. We're doing it now. And it's having this kind of, I had one person who works for the school, said it was soul crushing, that meeting.
You know what's really interesting?
Hey, let's have a good time.
I'm
sorry to bring you down.
Look,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I want to bring up a point that's probably awkward, is how many votes, what was the difference in the vote in the Essex?
Essex, and you're asking me something that I could be wrong on, and it'll be general. It was a solid decision. Okay. But it wasn't overwhelming. It was solid, like maybe a 20% difference. So it wasn't close, but it certainly wasn't a runaway.
Yeah.
The other thing is the representation at town meeting was about the same, if not larger, than the representation at the election. Well, that's not quite true. There was slightly more at the ballot. And so that was actually brought up by some school committee members. They said, listen, how can we say we're only going to focus on listening to the election when we can also listen to town meeting? Yeah. That's also sentiment. And that's sort of the little peek in the door. Right. That just might be able to be pushed open. But we'll see what happens. It's very sobering. Manchester is watching this closely.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because they overwhelmingly supported both. They won't. And they just had their election, and they just supported paying for the fields by floating a bond. You know what I mean? Like they're like all in. The fields were a separate issue. Yeah. Replacing those fields, which are really bad. There's a lot of anecdotal for sure, but a lot of it about injuries connected to those turfs because they're so old. I mean, nobody is saying let's not fix the turf. It's a million plus job for sure, way into the millions. And that got approved as well. So Manchester's saying yes, yes, yes. Essex has sort of put that wrench in the wheel now. We'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. I was going to ask her, not even to put you on a spot, but has it been a harmonious partnership between the two towns sharing the school district together?
Yeah, I think, well, if you look at the school committee and you look at the Essex people and the Manchester people, it's actually very similar. You've got fiscal hawks on Manchester's side, and you've got fiscal hawks on, financial hawks. So, but on Essex's side, you see actually more of kind of the same. So the relationship is good. However, Teresa Whitman, who's just got narrowly reelected as the chair, she is the chairman of the school committee, but she got narrowly reelected, I think by 20 votes, over Nina McKinnon, who was on the finance committee in Essex. And she got voted in. So imagine that ballot. So that ballot in Essex voted down the override, but they voted for Teresa Whitman. So that was kind of showed a mix too. She said, this is something where I'm afraid that the communication between the town is going to suffer and the relationship is going to suffer. There were other people who said exactly the same thing on the board. That doesn't mean it's happening though. Do you know what I mean? It feels like there's hope. There's posturing about, okay, we're going to do it. But then there's also this kind of, I hope it doesn't. And there's an optimism. I won't even call it optimism. I'll call it hope. a thread of hope. You can feel, even though they don't say it, that they hope it doesn't go there. But but they're ready to go there.
I thought that was a sound of hope building up in the background.
Hope.
So another big ticket item recently in Essex has been what's going on with the parcels of land over on Apple Street.
Yeah, that's kind of in transition right now. So you have this kind of background where the town pretty confidently moved ahead, knowing what grants we're going to pay for it, everything. What we're talking about is Apple Street is one of three of Essex's, and this is a local designation, scenic road. It's bucolic, it's pretty, it's narrow, it's windy, it's gorgeous,
true.
It's charming. It also happens to be legally an emergency cut-through, a sanctioned cut-through for emergency vehicles especially. It's also a public road, for God's sakes. It's not a private road. This isn't a private road. Yeah. This is public road. So the town wanted to widen it, and they wanted to raise it. And they did that because the causeway bridge is now becoming an issue and predictable. It's predictable that it's going to flood. It's going to the tide's going to rise, and sea level rise is part of that as well. So the town basically said we'd like to widen that road because if we don't have a wider road and we have maybe 2 emergencies happening and it involves the fire trucks, they have to go on the Hamilton side all the way around. Maybe even Tobacco Road, which is another controversy, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't get Tobacco Road, they have to go all the way around. It's like 25 minutes before they can get to something. Imagine that. And if you're here, you have to go all the way to Manchester to 128 to go around. So Apple Street is the passageway. Well, guess what? Apple Street residents don't much like that. And then at town meeting, they voted it down in terms of these slivers of eminent domain. They needed it goes from 1 feet to 4 feet of private road, and they were like, no, don't take our land, it's really valuable. Well, there's nothing you can do with roadside land for a spit of 20 feet of 3 feet wide, But they were going to widen it. They said, they were using hyperbolic language at town meeting. They were saying this is going to be like an entranceway to the Mass Pike. An on-ramp to the Mass Pike. And Essex, I will say this, Apple Street is already dangerous to walk on, I think. My son, I think we talked about this. Yeah. My son ended up going off. He's going to the music asylum for a guitar lesson in the rain with his buddy in his truck, and they slid off the road right there at that exact spot. And yet people from Apple Street will say, well, it'll be dangerous if you widen it. Well, it's dangerous now.
Right. And I remember even in Jess, when we had that interview, I was asking, well, what happens when there's an emergency on Apple Street now?
Yeah, you can get through.
Yeah.
They just don't like people cutting through. But the truth is, you purchased your property when it was legitimately a cut through of one sort, and now it's going to be a cut through of another. But here's where it is, which is your question, which is we don't know what's going to happen right now. Definitely the town, the Board of Selectmen are pumping the brakes, and they're reassessing, and they're going to figure it out. So we'll see. So the answer is we don't know.
Is that our closing credits playing?
I think so. Isn't that lovely?
That's beautiful.
It's a Caroline.
So, all right, Eric, what is on tap for you in the next few weeks here? What are you keeping your eye on in either community?
Well, I will say that a project, A Labor of Love, which actually I looped you in a little bit on, is coming out, and that is where we just are about to publish a summer preview for arts and entertainment on all of Cape Ann called Out and About on Cape Ann, and it's going to be distributed to every home on Cape Ann. Rockport, Essex, Manchester, and the city of Gloucester.
Well, that's a big deal.
So that's be a 48-page color thing. It'll talk about the Gloucester 400th. It'll talk about secret spots, the ideal pub crawl afternoon by my friend Kory Curcuru.
Write what you know. That's what they tell you.
Yeah, music, food, and then of course it's going to have an enhanced calendar so that people can see what's happening with the 400th and with other things. It won't be complete, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. Beautiful stuff. So, well, I'll be chatting with you this time next week, I'm sure, to see what's going on. Yeah, it's been a pretty fascinating late winter and spring here.
I have to say, and next week we'll talk about it. Definitely not now, but we didn't even talk about the Manchester election, which was very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, we'll make sure
That's
to
a
follow up
tease.
within that. Yeah, it is. Okay, Erika, as always, thanks for joining us and spending some time
I
with us
loved
and
it.
sharing
It's
some
great
knowledge.
to see you too, Heather.
Yeah.
Really.
Same.
All right, folks, that puts a bow on it now. Like we said from the top, Essex in Bloom is underway. You can enjoy the townwide celebration all weekend long. Swing by the Causeway Bridge now and enjoy the floral flash as they're being built. Erika, you're one of them. You're green thumbing today, which is awesome. Okay, we want to thank our guests, of course, Jodi Harris, Anna Hardy, Rachel Horgan, Katie Montgomery, and Erika Brown. I've got to thank our crew here. Hold on a second.
You're the best.
Thank you.
That was
Thanks,
a good
everybody.
one this week. Fighting the wind and the elements today, sun and shade.
But there are no greenheads, there are no,
I know.
there are no midgy things.
Yeah,
We're good.
yeah. Usually we got attacked by locusts one year out here. So, on camera, Joan Boyvin. Also on camera, Alec Palmer. Floor manager is Alana Horn. Our production manager is Tyler Hurinson. We're going to say one of our technical directors is Andrew Nicastro today. Digital director, Bridie O'Connell. Operations coordinator, Emily Games. Our executive director is Eric Archer. Now, we believe our next show, and this is in pencil now, will be Thursday, June 22nd from the altar at St. Peter's Fiesta. We've done that a couple times in the past, so pencil that in. But in the meantime, enjoy the week and have fun. Be safe. We will see you soon on Cape Ann Today Live. Coming at you from Ripple in the Water, where you can enjoy tequila tasting tomorrow at 2 with me.
Is that part of the pub crawl?
It's going to be. We're going to start one here. So, okay, thanks, Heather, as always. And we'll see you folks
Kory.
next time.
Hey, I'm freezing.
Good.